Pay attention to this. What if the problem isn't your life but the way you've been living it without even noticing? Because there's something no one really tells you. It's not normal to wake up every day feeling like something is off. It's not normal to feel behind in your own life. It's not normal to feel like there's a version of you trying to break out, but you're still stuck in the same place. And the strangest part? You already know it. You know you could be doing more. You know you could be living differently. You feel it, but you don't move. So be honest with yourself, and I actually want you to comment this. What's one area of your life where you already know what to do, but you're still not doing it? Because today, this isn't about motivation. It's not about thinking positive. Today, you're going to understand why you keep repeating the same cycle, even when you know better. And more importantly, what needs to shift inside you so your life can finally start moving forward. Most people think they're stuck because they don't know what to do. But that's not true. You're not stuck because you're lost. You're stuck because you already know and you're not acting on it. And that creates a very specific kind of pain. Not confusion, not ignorance, but tension. The tension of waking up every day with a quiet voice in your head telling you exactly what needs to change and choosing to ignore it, again and again and again. At first it feels small. You tell yourself you'll start tomorrow. You tell yourself you just need more clarity, more motivation, the right moment. But deep down you know that's not it, because the truth is, you've had enough clarity for a long time. What you don't have is alignment. There's a gap between who you are right now and who you know you could be. And that gap, that's where the discomfort comes from. That's why nothing feels right. That's why even when things are okay, they don't feel okay. Because you're living out of sync with yourself. Carl Jung once suggested that the greatest burden a person can carry is the unlived version of their own life. Not failure, not rejection, but potential that was never acted on. And the longer you ignore that internal pull, the louder the discomfort becomes. Not to punish you, but to wake you up. Because that voice inside you, it's not random, it's not anxiety, it's not overthinking, it's direction. And the more you try to silence it, the more your life starts to feel like something you were never meant to live. At some point you stopped trusting yourself, not all at once, but in small, almost invisible ways. Every time you said you would do something and didn't, every time you ignored that inner signal telling you this isn't right, every time you chose comfort over truth, you weakened something inside you. And the problem is, most people don't even realize that's what's happening. They think they're just being lazy or tired or going through a phase. But it's deeper than that. You're not just breaking a habit, you're breaking your relationship with yourself. Because self-trust isn't built in big moments. It's built in the smallest decisions no one else sees. Waking up when you said you would, doing the thing you've been avoiding, having the conversation you keep postponing, and every time you don't, you send a message to your own mind, my word doesn't matter. And once that belief starts to settle in, everything changes. You start doubting your own decisions. You hesitate more. You overthink things you used to feel clearly. Not because life got harder, but because you stop believing you'll follow through. And here's the part most people miss. Confidence doesn't come from thinking differently. It comes from acting in alignment with what you already know is right. That's why no amount of motivation lasts. Because motivation tries to push you forward, while your own mind is quietly pulling you back. There's a disconnect. You want to move, but you don't trust yourself to keep moving. So you stay stuck in this loop, thinking, planning, resetting, starting again, but never fully stepping into the version of you that already exists, just waiting for you to act. If you look closely at your life, you'll start to notice something uncomfortable. It's not random. The same types of problems keep showing up, the same situations, the same feelings, the same endings, different faces, same pattern. And that's where most people get it wrong. They think life is happening to them. But in reality, it's repeating through them. Because what you don't become conscious of, you will keep recreating. Not on purpose, but through automatic behavior. You say you want change, but your daily actions are built on the same version of you that created your current life. Same reactions, same excuses, same avoidance. So of course nothing changes. Carl Jung believed that until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life, and you will call it fate. And that's exactly what this feels like. Like you're trying on but somehow always ending up in the same place. You start something new, but fall back into old habits. You meet new people, but repeat the same dynamics. You promise yourself, this time will be different. And somehow it isn't. Not because you're incapable, but because you're still operating from the same internal script. And that script was built a long time ago, from experiences, from fear, from what you learned to accept, tolerate, or avoid. So even when you consciously want more, your unconscious is trying to keep you familiar, not successful, not fulfilled, familiar, because familiar feels safe, even when it hurts. And until you see that clearly, you'll keep calling this cycle bad luck, so instead of what it really is, a pattern waiting to be broken. So the question is, if you can see the pattern, if you know what needs to change, why do you still go back to the same behavior? Why do you sabotage yourself, even when you're aware of it? Because this isn't about discipline, it's about identity. Every action you take or avoid is reinforcing a version of who you believe you are, not who you want to be, who you believe you are. And here's the hard truth. You will always act in alignment with that identity, even if it's keeping you stuck. So if deep down you see yourself as inconsistent, you will create inconsistency. If you see yourself as someone who always starts but never finishes, you will prove that story right, again and again. Not because you're weak, but because your mind is trying to stay coherent with your self-image. Carl Jung described this as the shadow, the parts of you don't fully see or accept, but that still control your behavior. And sometimes, the shadow isn't something dramatic. It's subtle. It's the part of you that avoids responsibility, the part that fears being seen, the part that would rather stay comfortable than risk becoming something new. Because becoming something new means letting go of who you've been. And that's where most people freeze. Not because they don't want a better life, but because they're unconsciously attached to the identity that's keeping them where they are. So they stay in this contradiction, wanting change but protecting the version of themselves that prevents it. And until that changes, nothing else will. So how do you break a pattern that you didn't even realize you were living? You don't start by changing your life, you start by noticing it. Because awareness isn't passive, it's disruptive. The moment you truly see your patterns, not intellectually but honestly, you can't unsee them anymore. You start catching yourself in real time. Right before you procrastinate, right before you avoid something important, right before you fall back into the same old reaction. And in that moment, there's a small gap, a space between what you usually do and what you know you should do. That space? That's where your power is, not in big dramatic changes, not in a complete life reset, but in those small, almost invisible decisions where you choose differently. Because patterns don't break in intensity, they break in consistency. And this is where most people fail. They try to become a completely different person overnight. They set unrealistic expectations. They rely on motivation. They wait to feel ready. But real change doesn't work like that. Real change is quiet. It's choosing to do the uncomfortable thing even when no one is watching. It's following through when it would be easier not to. It's keeping a promise to yourself that no one else even knows you made. And at first, it feels insignificant, too small to matter. But that's exactly how identity shifts. Not in one big decision, but in repeated proof. Every time you act in alignment with what you know is right, you send a new message to yourself. I can trust me. And slowly, that changes everything. At some point, you have to stop asking, what should I do, and start asking, who am I being when I don't do it? Because behavior is surface level. Identity is the root. And if you don't change the root, you'll keep fighting the same battles in different forms. Most people try to force new actions on top of an old identity. They say things like, I need more discipline, I need to try harder, I need to stay consistent. But effort without identity alignment always collapses. Eventually you go back, not because you failed, but because you return to who you believe you are. That's why this isn't about doing more, it's about becoming different. And becoming different starts with something simple, but uncomfortable: radical honesty. Seeing yourself without excuses, without softening the truth, without hiding behind "I'll start tomorrow." Because the version of you that keeps delaying, avoiding, and breaking promises is not confused. It's conditioned. Conditioned to choose what's easy. Conditioned to avoid discomfort. Conditioned to stay the same. So if you want a different life, you need to interrupt that pattern, not once, repeatedly. You need to start acting like the person you keep saying you want to become before you feel like it, before it feels natural, before it feels comfortable, because that's how identity is rebuilt. Not through intention, but through evidence. Every action you take is a vote for the person you're becoming, or a vote for the person you're staying. And the truth is, you've been voting for the same version of yourself for a long time. There's a cost to staying the same. Not the obvious one, not just lost opportunities or time passing. Something deeper. You start to feel yourself slipping away, not all at once, but gradually. You stop expecting more from your life. You lower your standards without noticing. You begin to accept things you once said you never would. And the most dangerous part, it starts to feel normal. That quiet dissatisfaction becomes your baseline. That feeling of "this isn't it" becomes background noise. And eventually, you stop questioning it. Not because you found peace, but because you adapted. You adjusted to a life that doesn't match who you are. And that does something to you. It dulls your instinct. It weakens your sense of direction. It makes you second-guess things you once felt clearly. You become more passive, more hesitant, more disconnected. Not because you lack potential, but because you've been ignoring it for too long. And potential, when ignored, doesn't disappear. It turns into frustration, into restlessness, into that constant feeling that something is missing, even when everything looks fine on the outside. That's why this isn't just about improving your life. It's about not losing yourself in the process of avoiding it, because the longer you stay in a version of your life that doesn't reflect who you are, the harder it becomes to remember who you were trying to be. And one day, if you're not careful, you won't feel stuck anymore. You'll just feel settled, and that's the real danger, not failing, but getting used to a life that was never meant for you. So what does it actually take to stop living like this? Not a breakthrough, not a perfect plan, a decision, but not the kind people talk about. Not the emotional kind you feel at night that disappears the next morning. A quiet decision, the kind that doesn't need to be announced, the kind that doesn't rely on motivation, the kind that shows up in what you do, not in what you say. Because real change doesn't begin when you feel ready. It begins when you stop negotiating with the version of you that's been keeping you where you are. And that negotiation happens more than you think. "I'll start later. Just one more day. This isn't the right moment." It sounds harmless, but every time you accept those thoughts, you reinforce the same cycle. So the shift is simple, but not easy. You stop listening to every thought you have. Not every voice in your head deserves to be followed. Some of them were built from fear, from habit, from who you used to be. And if you keep obeying them, you'll keep recreating the same life. So instead of asking, "What do I feel like doing?" you start asking, "What does the person I'm trying to become do in this moment?" And then you do that, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it's small, even if it doesn't feel natural yet. Because that's the bridge, not motivation, not clarity, action that goes against your current pattern. That's how you interrupt the cycle. That's how you create movement when everything felt stuck. At some point, you have to stop waiting for your life to feel different and realize that it won't until you are. Because nothing changes just because you understand it. You can see your patterns clearly. You can know exactly what's wrong. You can even feel ready and still stay in the same place. Why? Because awareness without action is just observation, and observation doesn't move your life forward, execution does. But here's where people hesitate. They want certainty before they act. They want to feel confident before they commit. They want guarantees that it will work. And life doesn't give that. There's no moment where everything aligns and suddenly it becomes easy. There's just a moment where you decide to stop waiting and act anyway. Not because you're sure, but because you're done staying the same. That's the shift. It's not loud, it's not dramatic. It's a line you draw internally. No more negotiating, no more resetting every week, no more pretending you don't know. Just action, even when it's inconvenient, even when it's uncomfortable, even when it's the last thing you feel like doing. Because that's where things start to change. Not when it feels good, but when it's real. And the truth is, you don't need more time. You don't need more information. You need to stop hesitating on things you already decided. At the end of the day, this isn't about fixing your life. It's about facing something most people spend years avoiding, the gap between what you know and how you actually live. Because that gap doesn't stay neutral. It either closes through action or it widens through delay. And the wider it gets, the easier it becomes to disconnect from yourself. You stop noticing how far you've drifted. You stop questioning what you tolerate. You start building a life around avoidance instead of intention. Not because you chose that consciously, but because you never interrupted it. And that's what makes this dangerous. Not the mistakes, not the slow progress, but the silent acceptance of a life that doesn't demand anything from you. Because a life that doesn't demand anything will never return anything meaningful. It will keep you comfortable enough to stay, but empty enough to feel it. And most people live there, not fully dissatisfied, not truly fulfilled, just existing in between, waiting for clarity, waiting for the right moment, waiting to feel different. But nothing external is coming to change this. No sudden realization, no perfect opportunity, just the same quiet choice repeating itself every day. Stay as you are, or step into what you already know. And the truth is, you've been standing at that point for a while now. You've felt it in small moments, in hesitation, in that split second where you almost acted differently, but didn't. So this isn't a question of, can you change? It's a question of how long you're willing to keep ignoring what's already clear. Because eventually, this won't feel like confusion anymore. It will feel like regret, not because you didn't have time, not because you didn't know how, but because you kept choosing not to move, when you already knew exactly where to start.